enriches all of us. And then we'll open it up.
Live through me, and I can do them well. Which brings me to you. My work, perhaps I'll start with my past life. I was in Egypt many lifetimes ago. I was from Kemet. And I was gay all these lifetimes. And I will always be gay in all the future ones.
Yes.
And when I was in Kemet, I was a very sincere priest. I was very loyal to the gods and took it very, very sincerely. And was rejected. Despite my hard work, despite my heart, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay. You cannot be accessed. And I knew that was wrong. That's wrong. Judging for who I am. I got so angry, I died rather young. Out of rage. Rage will kill you. When I reincarnated, I went to Italy. I met a beautiful Italian boy there. I met him in a church. And he played the violin. And I was still an African. And I heard him play, and I was bewitched. Fell in love with him. We had a swooning romance. My next life, I went to China and studied Taoism and learned how to heal and healing arts. I said, if my own people won't give me the knowledge, I'm going to find it one way or the other. If I have to die and come back, I'm going to. You won't stop me. I died. My last life was in Japan. I was a Zen monk in Kyoto, Japan. And my last, I died angry again. Anger, the hot liver of mine. And at that time I passed away because I had gotten back injuries from doing Zen meditation. Which Zazen means sitting meditation. That's your word, Zazen. And I hurt my back. And I said, it must not be right to have to break your body to find God. That doesn't sound right to me. But I was in pain, and I couldn't really function well, so I kind of left my body. Fast forward to this life. I was born in New Jersey. I went to college at Columbia Princeton Universities, and I studied Japanese. This young black boy in Japanese class. The only black person in my graduating class. And Japanese came to me very quickly. It's a very hard language for Americans to learn. The syntax is backwards to ours. It's a reverse syntax structure. Very tough. But it came to me very quickly. Then I studied Zen at a Zen temple, Soto Zen sect in New York. And it came very quickly to me. And my thesis was how to make a Japanese Zen school for America. You can see I finished my last life and continued in this one. And this brings me to the whole story, what I'm doing here tonight. What enraged me was we were not given access to spirit. Who are you to tell me I am not spiritual? You straight men who cheer your wives and dog them and are sexist pigs will tell me what's righteous. So I have a hot streak in me in hot temper. My name is Ra, which is the sun god. I think it's a bit literal. I can solar flare. So when I came back to this life, I said, I'm going to create a system for us for the first time, openly accessing us to the secrets of Africa. Even as a young priest in Africa, I was denied access to Ifa because I am gay. I was in Nigeria with my Baba Abega. We were walking in the groves. He made a comment to me untoward. And I guess I sort of flared a little bit. I sparked my sunshine and I said, you will not speak to me that way. I'm the little kid talking to this great Baba. But something in me would not tolerate insult. That next morning he said to me, I am sorry that I insulted you. I was wrong. You mean well, you do good work. And you should be respected. I said, Baba. That comment healed lifetimes for me. Hurt. And rejection. So, I wrote books in his name, followed up his work, and he became my pride and joy. So I formed temples in Atlanta, Georgia, I had to open it to all people, gay, straight, didn't matter. Like, why I didn't care. But I began to notice some strange patterns. I noticed the straight men were becoming nastier and nastier. First against the gay people, and then against the women. I said, there we go. I call them knuckle draggers. When the men use that way, they start dragging their knuckles, like orangutans, pounding their chests, thinking they're special. So I shut it down. I said, no, not on my clock. Even though I've heard gays, no women, so you're out. I formed a second temple in Atlanta, a little more strict. And it happened again. I said, this is not working. Let's try for the third time. So I made a gay temple called the Golden Beetle in 2012. That one's working. That's working. This work is to access you to your power. You have great power as gatekeepers, we call you. We don't call you gay in most of Africa, you're called gatekeepers. Gates mean points of power. Love is a gate. Money is a gate. Creativity is a gate. We are the masters of gates. We can access any psychological state like this. You call it creativity. We call it gatekeepers or shamans. In Egypt, the lesbians were called nekabut, the great vultures. They were the queens of sorcery. You don't cross those women. They're vultures. Their magic is immense. And their wings, the vulture's the biggest bird, the largest wings. And they defend their young with ferocity, as Sister Daisy does. The gay men were called watch it, cobra. You seen the cobra on King Tut's head? That's us boys. Ferocious snakes, kings of sorcery. So, what I wish to speak about in terms of Donald Trump, and what your mission is in relation to him. Evil must exist. It has its role. Evil is a cancerous form of disintegration, gone wild. But opposition and disintegration is part of the universe. You have catabolism in your body and anabolism. Build up, break down. You rise, you fall. It's natural. But Donald Trump, unlike many good people like you, is committed fully to his power of wickedness. We must copy one trait of his. Be fully committed to our power of beauty. Bring it, Donald. Bring your disorder, your chaos. We bring beauty, love, and joy against you. This is the call of the artist. To bring the gates of beauty in the face of idiocies. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, my beloved artists? You have a job to do. God given to you. And the more the world fights us, bites us, the more beauty, push back on you. So you're going to dance it out, a healing dance. You're going to sing out a healing song, paint out a healing painting, and say, take that, evil. Take that. So, are you committed to your task?
Yes.
Will you fight the ugly with the beautiful? The disharmonious with the harmonious? Isn't art harmony? Structure? Organic balance? My concern for my favorite artist of all time is Miss Big.
Yeah.
I'm very gay, clearly. I love her. She was a great genius vocal and a world-class beauty. It broke my heart when she died. A goddess of song, a goddess There's a phrase I wish to share with you today as we get to conclude. It's NEFERTITI. Would you mind kindly saying that with me? NEFERTITI.
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 It means doubly beautiful. Nefer means beautiful. But Nefertiti, not just the woman's name, but it's an actual word in Egyptian. Doubly beautiful. We are taught in this world to be Nefer, beautiful, externally, Kim Kardashian, a great artist that Whitney Houston. The other beauty is inward. You must have Nefertiti to survive as an artist, or your craft will destroy you. Your own creativity can eat you if you don't have the signs of inner character, inner beauty, we say. Whitney, who could outsee her? But her soul didn't. The harmony of her soul was missing. She was searching. We saw her looking at God, but she could not quite pin it. And that lack killed her. And she was a lesbian. That's why she's one of my favorite singers, performers, artists of all time. She showed me the power of the lesbian vocalist. I've not seen it, even I've heard her even sing, but I must confess, Whitney outsang her. I've heard Patty sing, Whitney outsang her too. If you heard her live, Whitney was unbelievable. So I use Whitney as a case study of genius, beauty outside, lacking inner harmonies. So, this on the screen in the next slide, please. Her name is Root, the sky goddess. To us, the sky is a woman, the earth is a man. We're the only culture in the world that made that distinction. Not Mother Earth and Father Sky. Because the sky is very intelligent. Catch what I just said. I think girls are smarter. They keep better balance. Boys like to mess things up. We have a role. But I think the girl should be on top. What do you think? This is the 10,000-year-old picture pretty much, based upon that imagery. And the male is in Earth, because Earth is rough and tough. You can be all kinds of weak and survive the Earth. So it's a male force, right? So I wish to bring to you the Queen of the Gates, the sky goddess, the stars. Stars represent talent. You see my lucky stars? You are a star. Look at the language we use. We remember talent comes from somewhere. Her, the beautiful goddess, the blue queen. And you all artists, you recognize the bottom picture of her dreaming, right? Most of your creativity comes when you're dreaming and not thinking, right? You're kind of knocked out. Then you start getting information. Next slide, please. So I designed from Egypt a map. When I'm long gone, you will have a map. I studied Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, all the greats. I said, wait a minute. They left no map, they were killed. But we have no map of their genius, their road for us. This map is called the Map of the Zone. You artists know that place, right? When you're in that song, you're lost, you black out. You're dancing, and you forget that you're even in a body. You're painting, and the painting moves itself. And you're like, oh, did I do that? This is an actual mathematical map, and I do mean math, of how to go to the zone on command. I learned that from my Zen training in Japan. This is the place of power, unlimited. You write, all of a sudden, you're scrying, you're talking in your book. You find this place when you're lost in love. Call that place when you're in love and you're just lost. It's just so weird who you are, what's happening. You kind of black out. You're in the zone. But I want to give you a way to get there on command without drugs. Out of Whitney's understand why she's so important to me. I miss her. And I wish I could have given her this. I don't know who in here is the next Whitney. In your own field, I don't know. But I want to make sure you survive to tell. Next slide, please. This is called the Map of Quebec, which means the universe, how the universe works. I call it the dumb machine, the wondrous machine. The universe is kind of stupid, you know. Spring, summer, fall, not very creative in a certain way. Right? Birds go south, they go north, flowers go north. It's kind of stupid. Yet it's also miraculous. The second part of creativity is working with the universe, not against it. Your creativity comes in cycles. If you were recording your books, your dances, your songs, you will notice certain times of the year you tend to get more creative, sometimes less creative. This tells you that the universe moves like a machine. Next slide, please. And this is the toughest one of all, the human mode. And down here, this one, you see a zodiac, the middle 7 circles of the chakras. You see what's called the life, the bubbles, the colors. It's rather complex. When you're successful as an artist, your head can blow or collapse with the pressure rate. You must know yourself. But I'm going to be clearer if I can about what I mean. Know your psychology. These are 3 psychology measures to keep you sane and mentally healthy. Mental health is a big issue in our community. It's a big, scary issue. So I channel these 3, what I call medu, which means weighing of words, meaning thinking processes, to help my people have a way of mental health through all of your creativity. If you follow these maps of your psychology, how it really works, the divine psychology, Trump has no prayer against you. Not even a fake news prayer. So, I'd like to end this by reminding you, no matter what happens to you, always look up. Why? Because you are a star. Thank you so much. You're so beautiful. And I'm glad I had my life to give to you. My life's work for you. My only dream is that you take it. Use it and run. So Dwao, which means thank you in Egyptian. And we wish you the best a million times true.
Blessing and an honor to have both of these people here with us. May I invite you up, Daisy? So, gosh, I'm full. I don't know about you. Are you all feeling full in all of the best ways?
Yes.
Me too. So now I have the absolute pleasure of getting to sort of help the East rise between, in the space that we see here in the middle of the table. And so I want to start by asking and inviting your person, and you, Daisy, to share sort of anything that struck you most from the other. And some themes that I might throw out are beauty, war, struggle, pain, and kinship. Those are some of the themes that I heard covered. But I'm curious, what did you hear in what was shared in the other that sparked something in you?
Is it on? Okay. I was very moved by your connection to Egypt. Egypt is my best country. I went to Egypt in 1994 on a tour, but I went, and when I got to the pyramids, I just felt like I was way before them. When especially one that I love. So that was very moving to me. Also, when Whitney Houston died, I cried for 3 days. I was just so devastated by her death, and angry at the same time, because the family just was not supporting her, you know. And so those were the things, especially Egypt. And I have artifacts from Egypt that I brought home. And when I had my ancestry done, there's a little bit in there. But most of my ancestry, the more I look at it, the more it's like I'm still a work in progress. But I was really moved by your connection to Egypt. Thank you so much.
What about your person?
Well, again, her personality and her strength deeply moved me. I'm not sure why I feel what she went through so deeply and the sacrifice she made. But I hope it becomes an inspiration. Because as you were talking, I kept thinking of astrology, actually. I kept thinking, is this being recorded? Because what she went through and what she saw, according to our teachings, was timed by something in heaven. So she's part of a storyline of the book. And we have to keep records of what our warriors go through so the next warrior can get some cliff notes. And I hope one day to have many astrologer priests and priestesses among them, which are really keepers of cycles, what they call in money, statistics, and stats. They can make you very rich if you know how to read statistics, right? How cycles come and go. So I wanted to know, what was the astrology around you when you were doing this, when you were going this journey? Who were there before you? What was their astrology? And I wanted to see, is there a storyline in the heavens? I think maybe the planet Mars is strong with her. You see? And that she might have a lot of Aryan energy. Aquarius. That's the keeper of the community.
Yes.
Defender of the people. Are there other Aquarian goddesses like her? If there are, she is a model of inspiration for the Aquarian women. How they might maneuver versus a Libran warrior race versus a Gemini. And that's powerful information to help us. What broke my heart was when you said that they died. Imagine that. You give your life to a cause, you break your back, you travel, you sacrifice, and it fizzles. I can't imagine how you felt when you watched it. Strong as you are, you said, I'm not going to stop. But I can only imagine what it felt in that moment. So, if we had records, astrological records, maybe she could have looked at a prior Aquarian warrior race and said, oh, my story is strangely similar. I didn't feel so alone or so odd with my adventure. We need these kinds of records for our community. I respect the Jewish community very much. They keep records. And that is their strength. It is a great cultural strength. The Egyptians kept records, called the walls, and it gave them great 4,000 years strength. We must now do the same to protect our unborns. So that's what really struck me about hearing you speak. So,
There were so many themes along each of the journeys that were laid out before us. I'm personally curious about the role of doubt. There are many deaths, there have been many organizations, Daisy, that you have been a leader from when you were a teenager, and still to this day. And your person, when I'm thinking about the temples that your person began and ended, and the role of rejection. And I think there are a lot of us who are leaders in our fields, amazing artists, but also are contending with some pretty heavy forces, some of which your person named. So I just wonder if you could talk with us a little bit about any of those moments of doubt or questioning, and if there's anything that you offer from your own personal journey as to some of your strategies?
I don't live in doubt too much. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't live in doubt too much, but I do question, and I want to get to the bottom of something, or I want to keep looking at and seeing what other alternatives. In my line of work, that's what I do. You know, I work with an individual, and I go very slow to get to the root of what's hurting them. It could take several years. Usually it takes several years, to the point that sometimes I forget what the original problem was that the person came to me for, because they keep evolving, which is good.
And this is in your role as a social worker?
Yes, yes. I come out of psychiatry, out of many years doing that, but now I deal with a group of people that are treated as second-class citizens, even within their employer and within the union that I work for, which will remain nameless, just for us. And their leadership worked very hard, and I worked in the background. I think the most frustrating for me, where I had some doubt, was working in a system that I was not used to. I had to make my own way. I had to find my own voice. I had to create my own path, because they just were not used to what I used to do before. And unfortunately, for a long time, I didn't come out, because I'm dealing with a group of people who are already feeling like they're being smacked in the face by their employer and their union, and I don't want to hear about some lesbian that's helping them, because they come with maybe with a lot of biases, so I have to keep that part of me out of the picture. Until last week.
Hello.
Congratulations.
I was invited to an event, and that's sponsored by the Gay and Lesbian Teachers Association. And there I go, because they invited me, and there was all these folks that I know. Hazy! I said, too late, I came out.
How beautiful.
Oh, it's really beautiful.
In Africa, traditional Africa, we have a methodology of problem solving. It's called the oracle. It's how we resolve conflicts and remove doubt. It's a great system of wisdom that goes back millennia. So during my journey with these temples, I would do reading and say, what should I do? And I would ask the higher intelligence to speak through these binary tools and code on, off, 0, and 1. And the counsel never fails. So that guidance from my ancestral traditions of divination and astrology and oracles erases doubt, because you now know the storyline you're playing. It's like in a play in the theater. The character in the picture seems to make doubt where they're going, but when you see the end of the story, it makes sense, but only in the end. When you do a reading, it tells you the end of the story, so now you know your place, so the doubt goes away. We could also call this mental health during crisis technology. We could say, if you're going through a divorce or a job loss or a death or a sickness, why, God, why? Why? I'm a nice person. I'm trying to do good and not be tortured. What's happening? We throw, and you get a storyline text. You're in chapter 3 of a 21-chapter book. Hang in there, and you'll get to chapter 21. And that context releases the tension in the mind. It's a very powerful tool and a powerful weapon, the oracle and astrology, well used. Otherwise, it can become quite depressing to go through your bed and not know why I'm going through all this. And finally, many of you may be diviners in this room and have a suspicion.
we sort of survive and hold ourselves down because people have held themselves down like this before us. And you talked a little bit about your family. I know your brother's here, and I also know that you were born in Puerto Rico, and that you really insisted on speaking Spanish in different places. So I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the role of tradition and culture in your life. When has that been a source of affirmation or joy or support?
I'm sorry. For me, having been raised in the Chelsea area, there were so few Puerto Ricans in that area that I really had no connection to my culture or even within the family. And my family, my parents, while they were still alive, were pretty traditional. They come from that generation. And, you know, I had to go to church on Sundays. My brother, we both had to go to church on Sunday. But it was like, it wasn't real. It was like, you want to impress the neighbors. Because my parents didn't go to church. And so that felt kind of, I was always torn. But I knew that as I got older, that I had to find my culture. I found it in college because I wasn't allowed to go up to Spanish Harlem. I think the only time that I went to Spanish Harlem was on a school trip where we got off on Lexington Avenue and 103rd Street to go to the Museum of the City of New York, and I didn't like what I saw. I said, wait, something's wrong with this picture. Why are all these people hurting on this side? Why are they living this way? Something's wrong. When I got to Fifth Avenue, I said, definitely something's wrong. You know, because it just didn't, there wasn't any love. And even in the Spanish Harlem area, people with too much stress, and they just were so exhausted. There was no love. So that was my only exposure. But when I got to college, the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, I met Altagracia Ortiz. She was one of the professors that taught Puerto Rican history. And I took all the courses. With Magdalia de Jesus, she was the other one, the chair of Puerto Rican Studies at John Jay College. And that's when I got in touch with my culture. You know, because my parents didn't want to talk about it.